মোটামুটি পড়া হয়নি।
আচ্ছা, যেটাই আছে অরণ্যক সম্পর্কে তোমার কাছে, যদি রাত্রে তাড়াতাড়ি ঘুমা অভ্যাস থাকে তাহলে রাত্রে ক্যান্সেল, আগামীকালকে পড়িও যখন ভালো মুড থাকবে। কারণ না পড়লেও চলে, বই দেখে শান্তি। বাহ, হোয়াট অ্যান আইডিয়া। ওকে, থ্যাঙ্কস অল ফর জয়নিং। লেটস বিগিন আওয়ার ক্লাস. So within last two classes, we learned a few broken information about this novel Oroonoko and about a few characters, or you can say almost all characters related to this novel written by Afra Ben. Okay. So tonight I have decided to tell from the core of my heart, because whatever will come from the core of my heart, this is the easiest one for all of you. Okay, because my language is the easiest one. So Oroonoko, as you know that this is a novel, according to the critics or according to the reviewers who wrote the explanation, description, and who criticized this novel, they divided this novel into 4 parts. But the real writer, I mean Afra Ben, she wrote it like a novel. She did not divide it into any parts. But the critics, the describer, they divided this novel into 4 parts for the sake of the students, not for the readers, but for the students. Because readers are not the students, but students are the readers. Students must know many things and must understand properly in order to participate in the exam. That's why, for the sake of the students, and in order to make the easy way for the students, the critics, they divided this novel into 4 parts. So the first part is actually about the native people of Suriname, Then the next part is actually the country Coromantine. Then the third part is actually Oroonoko, about Oroonoko and his life in Suriname. And after that, the revolt of Oroonoko, the last scene, the painful scene. Okay. So tonight I am going to tell you the story of this novel step by step. So the first part, according to the critic, is actually Suriname. Okay. The writer, the lady writer, Afra Ben, right now she lives in Suriname. Okay, she lives in Suriname because she, and along with her family members, her sister and mother, they all live in Suriname, and they are colonizers, I mean British citizens. Okay, the writer and her family, because the father of the writer, he was the general of Suriname, but when he was coming from England to Suriname in order to participate in his duty, or in order to join his duty, the father of the writer, he drowned and he died. And that's why the lady writer Afra Ben, she is living in Suriname along with her family members, you can say her sister and mother. So a long time, she spent in Suriname, the writer, and she observed the life of the native people, I mean the people of Suriname, and the life of the Negros, I mean the life of the slaves who were brought from different countries, mainly the main country from where the slaves were imported. They were from Coromantine, an African country. Okay, Coromantine, now that is today's Ghana. Okay, so Afra Ben, in the beginning of this novel, she is telling us that I am going to narrate a story that is a real story and true story, and I am the eyewitness. I am the eyewitness of my story. And I myself experienced the events, incidents, what I am going to write in this novel. So According to the information of the lady novelist in the beginning of this novel, it is proved that the stories, the events, the incidents, and the characters of this novel are actually true. Okay, and she said that I am the eyewitness of my story and I myself is narrating the story. So the writer herself is the narrator. So and she is the witness, and she said that I observed myself everything at Suriname and I heard many stories about the slaves who worked in the Parham plantation in different plantations of Suriname, and I know the behavior, the manner, the attitude, the culture of the people of Suriname. The people of Suriname means the native people. You can say the natives. Okay. And whatever I wrote, but I am not the main witness, I heard those informations and incidents from the mouth of my sister and mother. Okay, so the writer, lady writer, she herself met with Oroonoko and talked with him and collected the life information, life stories of Oroonoko. She said that I could not write all the stories of Oroonoko in this novel, but the most important incidents and events in order to idealize and immortalize the African royal prince, royal slave Oroonoko. That's why this novel is called Oroonoko, or the royal slave, because Oroonoko is actually a prince, but right now he is leading his life as a slave in Suriname, in a plantation, okay, controlled by the British Empire or controlled by the Europeans, by the colonizers. Okay, so the lady writer Afra Ben, she is telling us that first of all I would like to explain the life of the natives, their behaviors, their manners, and their relationship with the colonizers, their relationship with the British people, okay, or their relationship with the British white people. And after that she will tell us about Coromantine. Then after that she will completely tell us about the life of Oroonoko and about his greatness, about his general life, and after that how he became a slave and how he came in this plantation and how he died. Okay, how he was killed, actually not died, he was killed. So first of all, Afra Ben tell us that the people of Suriname, I mean the natives are very well people. They are very innocent as Adam and Eve. So Adam and Eve, when they were inside the heaven, they were innocent and they were fresh minded. They did not know what is sin or how to sin, or what is crime, how to do crime. Adam and Eve did not know this when they were inside the heaven. So like Adam and Eve, the people of Suriname, they were also innocent, and they did not know how to do sin, how to do crime. Even the people of Suriname, they were actually a kind of cloth, a kind of dress, which Adam and Eve wore when they were inside the heaven. Okay, so Adam and Eve, they were actually when they were inside the heaven, they were covered by heavenly dress, graceful dress. Adam and Eve, when they were inside the heaven, they wore heavenly dress. But when they both ate the fruits of the tree of knowledge or forbidden tree in the Garden of Eden inside the heaven, their dress fall down and they both became naked. Adam and Eve both became naked. When they felt that they both are naked, so for shame and shy, they both covered their private part by the pig leaves, dumurer pata, pig leaves. Okay, so like this, the people of Suriname, I mean the natives, they are actually naked, like Adam and Eve. Okay, so the people of Suriname, they are actually naked. Though they all are naked, both men and women, but they are not lustrous. They are not lustful minded. They are very decent, very modest, very polite. Even if a person or a man, if a man falls in love with any women, any native women, so they don't, or the person does not touch the body of the women, but he looks at the eyes of the women, and his cheeks blush, and the woman understands that this person loves me. If the woman is agreed with the showing love of that man, then she also looked at the eyes of the man and down her head. So this presents the love situation between man and women among the natives. It was the process, but they had not any attraction on the physical beauty of their naked people, because they all were naked and they were innocent, they were polite, they did not know how to crime. Okay, these are their actually natural characteristics, the people of Suriname, the natives. So Afra Ben, now she is telling us about the profession of the natives. So the natives, they could swim very well, they could fishing well. Okay, fishing, swimming, and climbing on the trees and hunting different animals which is eatable, different kind of beast and wild animals which are eatable. The natives, they would hunt the animals from the mountainous place or from the forest of Suriname. Okay, so these are the characteristics and professions of natives according to Afra Ben, as she witnessed and experienced. Afra Ben said that they would made axes, pins, and different kind of elements which are used in order to cultivate different kind of harvest and in the field of agriculture. You can say rural tools or pastoral tools which is produced in the rural area by the common people. They were like that. So then Afra Ben said that British people, I mean the colonizers, British people had a good relationship with the natives, because the natives, they are well mannered, they were honest, and the British white people, the colonizers, they made a good relationship with the natives, because the natives people knew all the places of Suriname, all the mountain places where the fruits, where the food, or where the haunted beast. So they could give all the informations about the area where the plantations are. That's why the British people made a good relationship with the people of Suriname, I mean the natives. There was no criminal activities, no brutality between natives and the British citizens and the colonizers, the white people. This is the explanation of Afra Ben. Then the Afra Ben said that even the Europeans, I mean দেখো ইউরোপিয়ানস যারা কলোনাইজার্স তারা ব্রিটিশ পিপলও তারা, এই কথাগুলো মনে রাখবে, আমি এক এক সময় এক একটা শব্দ বলতেছি। সো দ্য ইউরোপিয়ানস did not enslave the natives. Okay, the Europeans did not enslave the natives. Okay, because this is their native land, and the Europeans or the British colonizers, they are outsider, they came from England, from Europe continent. But this is Suriname, this is American continent, discovered by Columbus in 1492. Okay, so this is the relationship between the Europeans and the natives. Even Afra Benz, in the beginning, she wrote the names of different kind of beasts and birds, different kind of animals, which is available and very common in the forest, in the trees, in the area of Suriname. Try to understand. Afra Ben, she mentioned names of many birds, many animals which are available and very common in the area of Suriname, in the native land. Okay, different colorful birds, different colorful beasts, domestic animals and wild animals. Okay, even after that she explained the profession, the you can say the skill of natives, the skill of natives. They could swim well, they could climb the big trees, and they could hunt very technically, which the British people could not do. So the colonizers, the Europeans, the British people or the white people, they could not climb up the trees as the natives could do. They could not swim as the native could do. So the natives, they were perfect and skillful. Even in the field of fishing, the natives, they were perfect. Okay, so the natives, they were also work in the plantation, but the Europeans, the British people, they did not show them the crucial side of their life, the crucial side of their manner, but they had a well relationship, good relationship, best relationship. Okay, so the natives, they were not slaves under the Europeans in their native land. So the natives were not slaves, but they were workers, not slaves. They were paid workers. They were paid workers, but they were not slaves. When Afra Ben is going to tell us that the natives, they were not slaves, but who were slaves in Suriname under the Europeans, under the British Empire, then Afra Ben is telling us that about Coromantine. So the critics right now make the next part, that is Coromantine. So Afra Ben is telling us actually in the plantations which were in Suriname under the control of British government, under the control of Europeans, actually there were slaves, they were works. In different countries, the slaves were imported. Afra Ben told us that mainly the slaves were black-skinned, black people, and they were imported from the north coast of Africa, that is called Coromantine. So Coromantine is actually an African country, and today it is called Ghana in the map of the world, in the geography of the world. And now Afra Ben is telling us why the black people, or why maximum slaves were imported or are imported from Coromantine. Now she is going to explain the situation of Coromantine. So the lady writer, she is telling us that, she is narrating the story that Coromantine is an African country. The people of Coromantine, they are black skinned. The color of their skin is actually black. They are very barbarous, they are illiterate, and they are worker classes people. And the political situation of Coromantine is war or battle was available in Coromantine. There was always battle in Coromantine or in the African countries. So the people from another countries, soldiers from another countries attacked on Coromantine, and the powerful soldiers and force of Coromantine protected the other soldiers and took them as their slaves, and would sell them to the slave traders, European slave traders. Okay, let me explain it. So Coromantine, as I told you, an African country, and today is Ghana. The king of Coromantine, he was an old person. The king of Coromantine, he was an old person, and he was more than 100 years. So the king of Coromantine had not any children, any son, any heir, but he had a grandson, and he was Oroonoko. Even the king of Coromantine, the old king, he had many wives, you can say uncountable wives. Okay, and he had 113 sons. The old king had 113 sons. When they grew up, the king sent them to the battlefield, and they were killed there. So now the old king had not any heir except Oroonoko. the grandson of the prince. Sorry, the grandson of the old king. So this person, this old king, he was very greedy, very jealous, and very idle. You can say very lazy. And he was very selfish also. The old king, he was very selfish. So when Oroonoko was only 17 years old, try to understand, Oroonoko was the grandson of the old king of Coromantine. Oroonoko had not his father, because his father was also killed or became martyr in the battlefield, in different battlefield. So this old king had many generals in the battlefield, many generals of his soldiers. So Oroonoko, when he became 17 years old, the old king sent Oroonoko to the battlefield in order to learn the technique of war, the technique of battle. Okay. So Oroonoko was given to an old general, old expert general, and Oroonoko spent 2 years in different battlefields and took participation, or he participated in many battlefields, Oroonoko, and he became a very brave and powerful soldier, very skillful soldier, Oroonoko, because Oroonoko was very tall. He was very tall, and he was educated also, because when he was inside the royal palace, he was taught by a Frenchman. I discussed last night about the Frenchman. So he learned English and Spanish from the home tutor, and he was a Frenchman. After that, he was sent to the battlefield under the guidance of an old general. Okay, and he spent 2 years in different battlefields, Oroonoko, and he became a very powerful, skillful, energetic, brave, and a famous soldier. And the name of Oroonoko is spread everywhere about his bravery. The bravery of Oroonoko is spread everywhere. And Oroonoko was very tall, and the physical shape of Oroonoko was not like the other Africans. Of course, Oroonoko was a black person, black prince, but his complexion means color. His color was not like the other black-skinned people of Africa or Coromantine, you can say, but he was somewhat different. He was modest, he was polite. So all good qualities Oroonoko possessed. All good qualities of a person: honesty, decency, politeness, modesty, everything you will have in the character of Oroonoko. These are his real virtues. Even he is educated, well educated. Okay. So one day in the battlefield, Oroonoko was fighting, and the old general, he was also fighting. Suddenly, a soldier of the opposite part, he targeted Oroonoko and threw his arrow. The old general saw it, and he dedicated his life in order to save the Prince Oroonoko, because it is the duty of every single soldier to dedicate their life, to sacrifice their life at any cost to save the prince or to save the king. So the old did that. The old took the arrow in his head, and he owned it, and he died in the battlefield. Oroonoko was saved. Now the position of general in this soldier group is empty. So by the order of the king of Coromantine, by the order of the grandfather of Oroonoko, Oroonoko took the place of the old general, and Oroonoko became the general of Coromantine soldiers. Okay. Now Oroonoko is not a common soldier. Now Oroonoko is very talented, very intellectual, very handsome, cute, whatever, virtuous general right now. So Oroonoko fought with many people, and he won many battles. So when Oroonoko won any battle, then he took the losers. I mean, he took the defeated soldier of the opposite group. And this is the right of the general, or the right of Oroonoko, to kill the soldiers, to kill the enemies, not soldiers but enemies, because they are defeated right now. But instead of killing the enemies, Oroonoko would sell the defeated soldiers to the European slave traders, traders, or you can say British slave traders. The British slave traders, they would come by their ship to the coast of Coromantine, to the shore of Coromantine, in order to buy slaves for as their workers, and brought them from Coromantine to Suriname. You can say today's West Indies. Okay. So the Oroonoko would sell the defeated soldiers instead of killing them, instead of giving them death sentence, because it is better to lead your life than to be killed, okay, or than to accept death. So when Oroonoko in this way he started to own many battles, and he started to sell the defeated soldiers to the British slave traders. During that time, Oroonoko learned many languages when he was in conversation with different traders. So the language of Oroonoko was very perfect because of his communication. Because language, the main purpose of language is actually communication, and that is very important. So in this way, Oroonoko is totally a perfect character, perfect man. Oroonoko, a perfect prince. So Oroonoko had a good relationship with many British slave traders because he had a communication in the case of slave selling. Okay. Then when the general died in the battlefield, the general had a daughter, and she was Imoinda, the most beautiful woman. She was the most beautiful woman among the Coromantine, the people of Coromantine. So Oroonoko, when he visited to the house of the died Oroonoko, then Oroonoko found Imoinda, the daughter of the old general, who sacrificed his life in order to save the life of Oroonoko. In the first meeting, Oroonoko and Imoinda, they both fall in love with each other. And it was a deep relationship. It was their deep love. And secretly, Oroonoko married Imoinda. Try to understand every point. So after their love relationship, Oroonoko secretly married Imoinda. Why I used the word secretly? Because in Coromantine, there was a tradition, there was a custom regarding marriage. If a common person, even if anyone of Coromantine wants to marry someone, whether it is a boy or girl, then they must take the permission of the king of Coromantine. I mean the grandfather of Oroonoko. So Oroonoko, as a prince, yet he needs the permission of his grandfather in order to marry someone, because without the notice or without the consciousness of the king, no one can do this without the permission of the king. Okay. So that's why Oroonoko secretly married Imoinda, because of their deep love. But they both did not, it is said, culminated or did not do anything that is physical, you can say, after marriage. Then somehow the old king, a grandfather of Oroonoko, he heard about the beauty of Imoinda. That, oh, I had an old general and he had a daughter, and her name is Imoinda. She is the most beautiful girl, and I am the king of Coromantine. I need her, and I would like to marry her. This is my desire, my wish. The old king, he has already many wives, and he is more than 100 years. An old king, he is addressed an old king, but he has the desire to marry Imoinda. That's why there was another tradition. If the king wants to marry someone, wants to marry any woman of his society or of his country, the king would send a piece of holy veil, veil. Veil মানে হচ্ছে curtain, পর্দা, a type of cloth, a type of dress, royal dress, you can say, and this is called holy veil or sacred veil. Not secret, but sacred, holy. So technically, the old king sent to Imoinda a royal veil, a sacred veil that indicates that the king wants to marry Imoinda. Okay? So, and if Imoinda does not agree, then the old king will kill Imoinda. There is no doubt. She must receive the punishment, accept the punishment. So Imoinda agreed with the old king. For the fear of death, Imoinda agreed. So Imoinda and the old king, they got married inside the royal palace. When Oroonoko heard this, that my grandfather, my dada, my Buradada married my wife, my secret wife, my girlfriend, Oroonoko became upset. You readers, you can say that he is a prince, or he was the prince, he could stop his grandfather. But no, Oroonoko did not do so, because Oroonoko was also fearful. If my grandfather goes against me, what will happen with me? And so he will kill me, no doubt. Because the king is selfish, I already told you. The old king is selfish. There is an interesting information. So, you can say Imoinda. So, the old king compelled Imoinda to forget the name of Oroonoko. To forget the name of Oroonoko. Otherwise, he will kill Imoinda. So, Imoinda shown it that she forgot the name of Oroonoko. She forgot the love of Oroonoko. Okay? She shown it. She pretend it. She pretends that she forgot the love of Oroonoko, and she truly accepts the old king as her husband. Otherwise, no way, he will kill her. So there was Otan, O-T-A-N, Otan. Otan is actually called harem, andar mahal, harem, where the wives of the king lives. That is called harem or Otan. According to the African language or Coromantine language, this is called Otan, O-T-A-N, Otan. Otan, where the bright night of the old king took place. Bright night, the bed is covered and decorated by different kind of flowers and smell, scent, fragrance, etc. Because this is bright night of the old king. Okay? So their brightness night finished. So the first wife of this old king was Onahol, O-N-A-S-A-L, Onahol. Onahol was the first wife of this old king. Onahol, she is not so much beautiful, she is not pretty. Already she has lost her beauty. That's why the attraction of the old king turned into another wife, or goes to the beautiful wives. This is the nature of the husband, any husband who has more than one wives. So if the first wife became or grows old or lost her beauty, then the husband will go to the next wife, the second wife, who is still young and beautiful. This is the nature of the husband, all husbands who has many wives. Okay, so this is the situation of Onahol. Onahol is the first wife, and she is no more beautiful like as she was. So that's why the old king is not interested on her physical beauty. So the old king fulfilled his thirst by other wives, and right now he has the latest wife. She is Imoinda, the most beautiful woman or girl in Coromantine. Okay. So Onahol. Okay. So let's go to Oroonoko. So Oroonoko, when the old king really understood that Imoinda forgot the love of Oroonoko, then the old king invited Oroonoko in the royal palace, in his Otan. Try to understand. When the old king understood that Imoinda forgot the love of Oroonoko, because he knew the affair between Oroonoko and Imoinda. That's why he invited Oroonoko and his friend Aboan, A-B-O-A-N, Aboan. So Aboan and Oroonoko, they were very faithful friends. And Aboan, you can say, accompanied Oroonoko in every places, in the battlefield, in his house, in his happiness, in his sadness, even in his slavery position, in his slave life at Suriname. Okay. So Oroonoko, along with his friend Aboan, they both entered inside the royal palace for the invitation of the old king. Okay, but Abohan, he was very flirt character. He knew the art of flirting, how to flirt with the women. So Oroonoko and Abohan, they both tried to enter inside the Otan, but to enter inside the Otan, it was forbidden and restricted for the outsiders, even for the prince. Okay, Oroonoko, because already everyone knew it that Oroonoko is in love with Imoinda and he is young. Okay, so Aboan, the friend of Oroonoko, he started to make flirt with the first wife of the old king, Onahol. And Onahol, she was very desirable wife. She is not beautiful, but she thinks that she is still young, and she has physical beauty. So it is very easy to flirt with such women who is not beautiful but think I am very beautiful and desirable and interested to love someone or to get love from someone. So Aboan took this advantage and he started to flirt with Onahol. And Onahol Aboan shown it that he loves and he likes the attitude, behavior, beauty and love of Onahol. And Onahol is fascinated. She is fascinated. She is impressed by the love of Aboan. Actually, the technique and the target of Aboan is to get the chance to enter inside the Otan in order to meet with Imoinda, and he is trying it and he is successful. Aboan is successful. So Onahol told Aboan that if you love me, I will show you the way how to enter inside the Otan of the old king and how to meet with Imoinda. Aboan said okay. So then Onahol told Aboan that come next day at the night, I will show you the Otan. So next time Aboan and Oroonoko go to the royal palace, and by the help of Onahol, Oroonoko enabled to enter inside the Otan and met with Imoinda. So Imoinda became surprised, and Oroonoko, they hugged each other, and Oroonoko got the chance to make love with Imoinda inside the Otan of his grandfather. So there was a physical relationship between Imoinda and Oroonoko inside the Otan of the old king. And when Oroonoko, he was in the position of physical relationship, in the romantic love, Oroonoko understood that Imoinda is still virgin. Imoinda is still virgin, still pure. My grandfather is actually useless. So that's why he became very happy. Oroonoko became very happy knowing that Imoinda is still virgin. So husband can feel it that his wife is virgin or not. Okay. So they both are surprised and they spent too much time, and they were caught. They were caught by the old king. So Oroonoko and Imoinda, they both were caught by the old king, and Aboan fled from the royal palace, leaving Onahol. So the old king, Oroonoko is the prince. So the old king, as a punishment, the old king told Imoinda that I will kill you. But the old king had a kind of attraction to the beauty of Imoinda. That's why he, instead of killing Imoinda, because this is a crime committed by Imoinda, that being a royal wife, he is in physical relationship with other. So this is a crime, great crime, and the matter of prestige for the king. So instead of killing Imoinda, the old king, he sold Imoinda to the British slave trader. Try to understand. And Oroonoko did not know it. So the old king sold Imoinda to the British slave trader, and Imoinda, by the British slave trader, Imoinda was sent to Suriname. and she became a slave. Imoinda became a slave, and now she is at Suriname. But Oroonoko, the old king, told Oroonoko that I killed Imoinda. Try to understand. The old king told Oroonoko that Imoinda died. I killed her. I executed her. I beheaded her. Oroonoko became frustrated. Oroonoko became you can say Devdas, like meaningless. His life is meaningless. His activities is meaningless. His bravery is meaningless. Everything is meaningless. Oroonoko sat idle inside the royal palace. He didn't participate in the battlefield. He forgot everything. In the depression of losing Imoinda from her life, because she died. This is the matter of lovers. He became very weak, powerless. But during the absence of Oroonoko in the battlefield, because Oroonoko was general and he was very powerful, like Amrendra Bahubali, one name is enough. Amrendra Bahubali stands for 1,000 soldiers. Oroonoko, soldier, general, brave. Oroonoko alone stands for 1,000 soldiers. So Oroonoko is absent in the battlefield, and the African soldiers, they are defeating by other soldiers. So everyone tried to encourage Oroonoko. In order to bring back him in the battlefield, but everyone failed. So several months, you can say more than 1 year, Oroonoko sit idle at home for the grief and lamentation of losing Imoinda from his life. No more tonight. Tomorrow, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.